Arsenal are going to Budapest and nobody can stop them now. Let me ask you something. Do you remember where you were on the night of May 5th, 2006? That was the last time Arsenal were in a Champions League final. That night in Paris, they went down to 10 men, gave everything they had and still nearly pulled it off. It was heartbreaking. It was also 20 years ago. 20 years. A whole generation of Arsenal fans grew up never knowing what it felt like to watch their club compete for the biggest prize in European football. They watched from the outside as Real Madrid, Barcelona, Liverpool, Chelsea and Manchester City all got their turns under the lights in finals. Arsenal fans just waited and waited and waited. Tonight, the wait is finally over. Arsenal beat Atletico Madrid 1-0 at the Emirates Stadium, going through 2-1 on aggregate, and they are going to Budapest for the Champions League final on May 30th. Bukayo Saka scored the goal that did it just before half-time, and the stadium absolutely erupted. The scenes at full-time was something else. Grown men and women in tears, players jumping on each other. The Emirates turned into a full-on carnival. After 20 years of hurt, Arsenal are back on the biggest stage, but this blog is not just about the result. It is about how they did it, who showed up when it mattered most, and what this team is really made of. So let us get into it. The night the Emirates became a cathedral, there is something about European nights at the Emirates that just hits different. The atmosphere, the noise, the feeling in the air before kickoff. You can feel it before a ball has even been kicked. Fans who were there tonight will be talking about this for the rest of their lives. Arsenal came into this second leg having drawn 1-1 at the Atletico Madrid stadium in Spain the week before. Victor Gyökeres put Atletico ahead from the penalty spot, and then Julian Alvarez equalised also from the spot. So going into tonight, it was level and anything could happen. Atletico Madrid under Diego Simeone are not a team you take lightly. They are tough, they are organised, they are physical, and they know how to grind out results. They have knocked out bigger clubs than Arsenal on European nights. They defend deep, they hit on the counter, and they make life very uncomfortable for teams who want to play open football. So the question tonight was simple. Could Arsenal handle the pressure? Could they play their game, score when they needed to, and keep a clean sheet against one of the best defensive setups in European football? The answer, as it turned out, was yes. A clean yes. Arsenal kept their 30th clean sheet of the season in all competitions tonight. They also went through the entire knockout stage of this Champions League without conceding a single goal at home. Not one. Think about that for a second. Through all the pressure, all the big games, all the elite opposition, no team found a way past them at the Emirates. That is not luck, that is organisation. That is mentality. That is a team that knows what it is doing. Bukayo Saka scores the goal that changed everything. You knew it was going to be him, did you not? When Arsenal need a big moment, when the stadium is holding its breath and someone needs to step up, more often than not, it is Bukayo Saka who delivers. The boy from Hale End, the academy product who grew up supporting this club, keeps writing his name into Arsenal folklore. His goal came just before the half-time whistle. The timing could not have been better. It gave Arsenal the lead, it sent the stadium into absolute delirium, and it gave the team something to hold on to in the second half. It was a well-taken goal. Clinical, no hesitation, the kind of finish that shows you have been in these moments before and you are not afraid of them. Saka has grown so much as a player over the last few seasons. He has turned from a talented young winger into one of the best players in European football, full stop. His partnership with Ben White on the right side has become one of the most underrated combinations in the Premier League. These two know each other's game inside out. They know where the other is going to be before they even make the run. That chemistry is not something you can coach. It just develops over time when two players trust each other completely. Ben White got some criticism earlier in the season for a few shaky performances, and there were people wondering whether Christian Mosquera should have started the first leg in Madrid. But White started again tonight and he was excellent. He dealt with Ademola Lookman, who had caused him serious problems in the first leg, and he and Saka combined brilliantly down that right side. Arteta backed his man and his man came through. The Miles Lewis-Skelly decision that shocked everyone. Now let us talk about the brave call that Mikel Arteta made before this game even kicked off. Arteta left out Martin Zubimendi and started Miles Lewis-Skelly instead in a Champions League semi-final at the Emirates. With 20 years of heart on the line, was that not the most Arteta thing you have ever seen? Zubimendi is an experienced, reliable midfielder who knows exactly what he is doing in big games. Most managers in that situation would have gone with the safe option, not Arteta. He looked at his options, he trusted his instincts, and he handed a Champions League semi-final start to a teenager. And you know what? The kid was brilliant. Lewis-Skelly took a few minutes to settle, which is completely understandable. Imagine being a teenager and walking out at the Emirates for a game of this size with that atmosphere against that opposition. It would be terrifying. But once those early nerves settled, he was composed, assured and confident in everything he did. He controlled the ball well. He kept his passing simple and effective. He won a share of physical duels. He was not flashy about any of it. He just did his job and he did it well. And the thing about Lewis Skelly that makes him special is the mentality. He is a Hale End boy. He came through the Arsenal Academy. He knows what this club means, he knows what is expected, and he does not shy away from it. This was a continuation of his performance against Fulham just a few days earlier, where he was also impressive. Maybe not quite as clean a performance tonight because the level of opposition was so much higher, but to not look out of place in a Champions League semi-final at his age, that is something else. People will remember this as one of Arteta's great calls, the manager who trusted a teenager with the biggest game in 20 years and got it right. What does that say about Arteta's confidence in his squad? What does it say about Lewis Skelly's ability? And what does it say about the culture that Arsenal have built where young players can come in and perform on the biggest stages without falling apart? Declan Rice was simply a monster, right? Now we get to the main event. Declan Rice has been exceptional this season, consistently, brilliantly, relentlessly exceptional. But tonight he went to another level entirely, and that is saying something when you consider the level he has been operating at all year. From the very first minute, Rice was everywhere. He was snapping into tackles, he was intercepting passes, he was winning headers, he was picking the ball up and driving forward. He was covering ground that most midfielders would not even attempt to cover. It was like watching three players in one body. One moment in particular stood out early in the game. Giuliano Simeone, son of the Atletico manager, had a chance to score. It looked dangerous. Most players might have held back, tried to block, hoped for the best. Rice threw himself into the challenge and stopped it dead. Clean tackle, problem solved, move on. That is what Rice does. He does not wait for danger to come to him. He goes and finds it first and deals with it before it becomes a problem. Over the course of the whole game, Diego Simeone on the touchline was absolutely furious with Rice. At one point, the Atletico manager held up 5 fingers, apparently suggesting Rice had committed 5 fouls. Simeone is known for working referees and trying to influence decisions, but the fact that he was that wound up by Rice tells you everything. Rice was getting under their skin, disrupting their rhythm, and making them feel uncomfortable every time they had the ball. You also have to appreciate what Rice does when Arsenal have the ball. He has been playing as a number 6 in recent weeks, a more defensive role than he has sometimes occupied. But his ability to burst forward from that position, to carry the ball up the pitch and relieve pressure on his teammates, makes him worth 2 midfielders on his own. He covers the ground of 2 players, he has the quality of 2 players, he is genuinely one of the best midfielders in the world right now, and it is not even close. At £105 million, people have sometimes questioned whether that was too much to spend on a single player. Let those people come forward now. Rice has already been worth every single penny of that transfer fee, and Arsenal still have years of him to look forward to. He is the first £100 million player who turned out to be a genuine bargain. A bargain at £105 million. That is how good he is. And for anyone who needed more proof of his quality, consider his stats this season. In the Premier League alone, he has scored 4 goals and contributed 5 assists across 34 games, completing 89% of his passes. In the Champions League, he has 12 appearances with 2 goals and 2 assists, passing at 91%. These are the numbers of an elite midfielder who contributes at both ends of the pitch in the biggest competitions in the world. What Rice did at halftime tells you everything about him. Here is a detail that you might have missed if you were just watching the game. When the halftime whistle blew, the Emirates was rocking. Saka had just scored, Arsenal were ahead, the crowd were bouncing, the players had every right to take a moment, breathe it in, let the energy wash over them. That is a human reaction, that is understandable, but Declan Rice was not interested in any of that. While most of his teammates were walking slowly towards the tunnel, taking in the noise and the atmosphere, Rice was gesturing at them, urging them to hurry up, get inside, get focused, the job is not done. He was basically telling them that celebrating at half-time, when you still have 45 minutes to play against Atletico Madrid in a 2-legged Champions League tie, is not acceptable. There is a second half to play. There is work left to do. Move. His energy was so direct that it actually worked. Players like Ibrahimovic Eze and Bukayo Saka visibly picked up their pace after seeing Rice's reaction. This is what leadership looks like. Rice does not wear the captain's armband every game. But he is a captain in everything he does. He holds people to a standard. He sets the example. He does not switch off when others might. And when the moment comes where someone needs to keep the group focused and switched on, it is Rice who steps up. Think about the kind of mentality that requires. You are in a Champions League semi-final. You have just scored for your teammate. The stadium is going wild. Half-time whistle blows and the atmosphere is unbelievable. Most human beings would take a breath, smile, enjoy it for a second. Not Rice. He is already thinking about the second half. That is what separates good players from great ones. Not just ability, mentality, focus, the refusal to be satisfied until the job is completely done. No wonder Pep Guardiola took notice. After Arsenal lost to Manchester City earlier in the season, footage emerged of Rice immediately telling his teammates that the title race was not done, that they needed to keep fighting. Guardiola saw it and said he loved that. He pointed to Rice as an example to his own players of the mentality they would face in the final months of the season. When your opponent's manager is praising your players' leadership, you know you have something special. Seedorf says they look like champions after the game. Clarence Seedorf gave his verdict on Arsenal, and it was about as high a compliment as you can get. For those who do not know, Seedorf is one of the most decorated players in Champions League history. He won the competition 4 times with Ajax, with Real Madrid, twice with AC Milan. He has been in finals, he has won finals, and he knows what a team that is built to win looks like. His verdict on Arsenal tonight, he called them a champions team. He said they were in control from beginning to end, that they did not force the game in the first half, and that in the second half, when they needed to defend and hold on, they knew exactly how to do it. He highlighted Gabriel specifically as impressive, and he said the whole team were calm and composed from start to finish. When a man who has won the Champions League 4 times calls your team a champions team, you listen. That is not a throwaway comment. That is a genuine assessment from someone who has been at the top of European football and knows what it takes. Arsenal have now gone through the entire knockout stage without conceding at home. They have kept 30 clean sheets across all competitions this season. They are top of the Premier League. They are in the Champions League final. The double is genuinely on the table. How many Arsenal fans would have believed at the start of the season that we would be sitting here in May talking about the possibility of a League and European Cup double, the road to Budapest, and what comes next? So what happens now? Arsenal will face either Bayern Munich or Paris Saint-Germain in the final at the Puskas Arena in Budapest on May 30th. The other semi-final has not been decided yet, and both are massive threats in their own right. PSG are the defending Champions League champions. They beat Arsenal at this same stage of the competition last season, knocking the Gunners out and then going on to destroy Inter Milan in the final. If PSG get through, there will be a very real sense of unfinished business. Arsenal will want to show that last year's result was not the true picture of where these two teams stand. Bayern Munich, on the other hand, are Bayern Munich. One of the most successful clubs in European football history, consistently producing elite football year after year. If it is Bayern in the final, it will be an equally brutal test of everything Arsenal have built. But here is the thing, after watching Arsenal tonight, after seeing what this team is capable of, after watching Rice lead from the front, Saka deliver in the biggest moment, Lewis Skelly handle his nerves on the biggest stage, and the entire defensive unit hold firm against one of the most physical attacks in European football, do you honestly feel like Arsenal cannot handle whoever is put in front of them? This is not the Arsenal of 5 or 10 years ago that would grind to a halt under pressure. This is a team with genuine quality throughout, a manager who makes brave decisions and gets them right. A squad full of players who understand what is required and rise to meet it. Can they actually win the Champions League? Genuinely, can they? What this means for the Arsenal community, for fans of a certain age, tonight was emotional in a way that is hard to put into words. 20 years is a long time. Children who were born after Arsenal's last Champions League final appearance in 2006 are now old enough to have been at the Emirates tonight, watching this happen. Parents who watched the 2006 final with their children watch this game with their grandchildren. This club has had its difficult periods. There were years when Champions League football was not even guaranteed. There were summers of uncertainty, player sales, and serious questions about whether Arsenal could compete at the very top level. Fans stuck with it through all of that. Tonight felt like a reward for that loyalty. And the way this team plays, the style and the substance, the bravery and the organisation makes it all feel earned. This is not a team that bought its way to a final. This is a team that has been built thoughtfully, with a clear identity and a manager who believes in his players and is not afraid to back that belief with big decisions. Mikel Arteta picked a teenager to start a Champions League semi-final, and the teenager delivered. He trusted Ben White when others doubted him, and White delivered. He has built a culture at this club where accountability and standards are non-negotiable, and that culture is now showing up on the biggest stage in club football. A final word before Budapest. Let me leave you with this. In 3.5 weeks, Arsenal will walk out at the Puskas Arena in Budapest for a Champions League final, the first in 20 years. The whole world will be watching. Every Arsenal fan, whether they are in North London, in Lagos, in Kigali, in Tokyo, or in Sydney, will be watching and leading that team out, driving them forward, refusing to let anyone settle for anything less than their best, will be Declan Rice, the man who spent half time in a semi-final telling his teammates to hurry up because there was still a game to win. The man whose stats this season would make any manager in the world want him in their squad. The man who Pep Guardiola watches and uses as an example for his own players. Alongside him will be Bukayo Saka, the Harlem end boy who scored the goal that sent Arsenal to Budapest. And Miles Lewis Skelly, another Hale end product who showed that the next generation is ready and waiting. And the whole squad that Arteta has assembled, which plays together, defends together, and wins together. Is it going to be easy? No. Bayern and PSG are both exceptional sides at the peak of their powers. This will be the hardest game Arsenal have played all season. But after 20 years of waiting, after everything this club and its fans have been through, do they not deserve to go there and give it absolutely everything they have? Of course they do. Budapest, we are coming up the Arsenal.